Achieving financial success takes dedication, discipline, and most importantly, a plan. For over 30 years, Don Reynolds has helped savers define their needs, formulate their plans, and achieve their goals. From accumulation to preservation and protection, and through the income distribution phase in retirement, implementing the right strategies makes all the difference. Your retirement is our business. Welcome to Strategic Asset Preservation.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Reynolds Wrap. I'm Don Reynolds. Of course, joining me,
Corey Stilpier, everyone. Good to see you. Thanks for joining.
So today we're going to continue on with our episodes of Retire Ready. We've done a couple episodes and we've got a couple more to finish this off, so we want to get this done here. Today we're going to talk about risk number 4 and risk 5. I'm going to handle risk 4, which is Medicare and unplanned healthcare expenses. So we'll jump right in. So Medicare, fairly straightforward. However, one thing that you should always remember to do is file for Part A 90 days prior to turning 65. There's no cost to Part A. And if you don't do that, and then you go with a lapse between qualified healthcare and planning for Part A, you're going to get a penalty, and it's not fun.
Yeah.
So we just say check that box. Just do it. Even if you still got your qualified healthcare through your employer, just do it 90 days beforehand, and check that box off.
Yeah,
it's one
Part
of
A
the
is free too, so
Correct.
no cost to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then of course you got Part B, C, and D. B is doctor, C, D, that's your prescriptions and all that fun stuff.
Yep.
There's a thing called IRMA. That's your monthly charge for Medicare Part B. And people who make a lot of money and who aren't Social Security don't realize what IRMA can do, but it can end up costing you a fair amount of money. It's tiered, if you will, based on income. So that's something you want to be looking at as well too. If you get into the higher brackets, maybe you need to talk to us about how we can maybe reduce your incomes in certain ways. That's part of that 3-bucket strategy that we have.
Yeah.
So one thing about Medicare, it doesn't cover everything. And healthcare, and I can speak to this personal experience from this year. Healthcare, it gets more and more expensive every year, not just the cost for the plan, but out-of-pocket expenses are going up, and they're going up a lot faster than inflation.
Correct.
So you're going to have co-pays, deductibles. Depending on your plan, you might have to pay for hearing, dental, vision cost. And then the other thing, and it's not really Medicare, and we'll get into this later, but long-term care. We've talked about that a lot. It's the elephant in the room. No one ever wants to talk about, but it is important that you at least look at, have some kind of a plan or understand what can happen to you long-term with that.
Yeah.
So that's really your key things to Medicare. Having Part A, B, get a Medicare supplement. You're going to want to do a lot of research on that, especially if you're going to do traveling over the winter, things like that. You got to make sure you got a plan that's going to cover you out of state.
Yeah.
So again, do your due diligence for Medicare, okay? Because that could be a big risk to you if you don't plan properly. All right?
Yeah. Healthcare, just in general, is I know we all feel it in our pocketbooks. I know it's something on the forefront of our mind that we deal with daily. Of course, with the advancements of medical science and longevity playing a factor, healthcare wraps right around that, which leads into risk number 5 here that I know we've all felt recently here in a big way, and that is inflation. In fact, most of you listening, if you've been to one of our seminars or you're working with us, we have an acronym called SLIM, S-L-I-M. We want to keep you slim in retirement, not physically, but financially. S is sequence of return risk, L is longevity, I is inflation, and then M is market risk. So dealing with inflation, and again, I know it's been a very hot topic here of late with the rising interest rates to try to curb the inflation. And we've heard the term hyperinflation and things like that. Again, as Don mentioned with healthcare, the biggest thing is have a plan. One thing to just understand is if you're spending $5,000 a month today, and if we just use the inflation rate of 3%, in 20 years, you need that $5,000 a month to grow over $9,000 a month just to have the purchasing power you have today at the $5,000 a month. So again, inflation is something that we all feel, we see. I've still got 4 lovely children. I know 3 of them are adults, but like many of our listeners, they still show up at home for dinners and food. And when we go to the grocery store, wow is all I can say. It is just amazing what we're spending on groceries today compared to just 2 to 3 short years ago. So again, the silver lining to inflation, folks, is that Now our safe money, and I know we've talked about this before, you should be getting good returns on your safe money. Safe money would be things that has a zero as a floor. In other words, you cannot lose a penny of it due to market risk. So a lot of us have safe money for liquidity needs. Maybe it's just that's where we're at in our investment phase or stage of our life. Make sure that you have that money keeping ahead of inflation. Your safe money should not be falling behind what the inflation rate is, because if you're losing on returns there, not keeping up with inflation, we call that lazy money. You go to our website, 800preserve.com. We've got different pieces on there on lazy money. And if that's starting to fall behind on inflation, it can eat itself up over a period of 15, 20, 30 years where that dollars are not worth anything now. So again, kind of a couple of silver lining things around there. One last thing I'll add on this is we have seen the cost of living adjustments, or COLAs, on Social Security much higher the last three raises, because they base that off of third quarter consumer price index, CPI, which is basically inflation. So now that has attempted to keep up with the inflation. They've been some good raises. But again, the key is make sure all your other money is keeping up with this, because otherwise you're losing purchasing power, which could bite you in the future. So.
Yep. And, if you have questions about that and things that you could maybe get your money working better for you, feel free to give us a call at 651-773-3859. Again, that's 651-773-3859. And we're happy to share some ideas to help you get your money working harder. We want your money working harder than you do. So
absolutely. Yeah.
So with that, I want to thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Have a great day, everyone. Thanks again for listening in.
Take care.
Listen to more with Don Reynolds and Corey Stilp on the Strategic Asset Preservation Podcast by visiting 800preserve.com.
The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature, not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs. Early withdrawals may subject the owner to penalties, fees, or taxes.
Fiduciary duty extends solely to investment advisory advice and does not extend to other activities such as insurance or broker-dealer services. Advisory clients are charged a quarterly fee for assets under management, while insurance products pay a commission, which may result in a conflict of interest regarding compensation.
Advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, a registered investment advisor.